This podcast contains adult language and stories of true crime. If you don't like laughing, crying, or being horrified at the actions of other humans, this podcast is not for you.
Hi, listeners. This is Listener Short Stack 22, our 22nd time where we read things that you've sent to us, or sometimes we find updates to cases and share them with you. And basically, it's just us having a conversation with you, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah, that was an excellent description.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to go first, and this is one of my favorite things that we've ever received in the mail.
Oh,
It is a letter from a student in Australia.
as you can hear, it's on paper.
Yes. I think this person is from Queensland,
Okay.
Australia, and he is a year 12 student in Australia, which is a high school senior in the United States. So this is what he says to us. Dear Allison, Eliza, and Carlin, hello. I am a new listener of Unsolved Mysteries from Australia. I only started listening this month. I'm already halfway through season 2. As soon as I heard how excited y'all are to receive physical mail, I knew I had to write you a letter.
Oh.
Yay, thank you.
A little bit about me. I am a year 12 student, a senior in the USA, from Queensland. And I have the most intense story of child abduction and churches being shit that you've ever heard.
Oh, my God.
Well, probably not, but it is a very well-known case here. On December 7th, 2003, 13-year-old Daniel Morcombe. Oh, wait.
Morcombe?
Yes, thank you. Daniel Morcombe. And he says, pronounced with a short vowel, not like Morcombe.
So what does that mean then?
So I think it's saying more calm. The last O is a short vowel, maybe.
Oh, okay. Disappeared from a bus stop on the Sunshine Coast, about 1 hour north of the capital city of Brisbane. I am 17, so obviously I don't remember this, but his disappearance was a big part of my childhood, as the case was unsolved until 2014. His parents, Bruce and Denise, created the Daniel Morcombe Foundation, which educates children about stranger danger. There is also a walk every year in October called Day for Daniel, and on this day, all the schools in the area wear red, his favorite color. So what happened to Daniel? He walked to the bus stop to catch a bus to the shopping center to go Christmas shopping for his family. The first bus was running late due to breaking down, so it radioed to the next bus on the route to pick up Daniel, and it didn't stop. In the less than 3-minute window, in between the two buses, Daniel disappeared. What we know now is that Brett Peter Cowan, they use his whole name so you know it's bad, picked Daniel up in his car under the guise of giving him a lift. This is what Cowan claims happens, as is most of the following accounts, so we can't be sure if Daniel willingly got into the car or was forced. Cowan then drove Daniel to a property where he was living and, quote, accidentally broke Daniel's neck when he tried to escape.
Okay.
As it was 11 years between Daniel's abduction and murder and Cowan's trial, the decomposition is too severe to see if Daniel received any other injuries. It's widely believed that Daniel was molested, as Cowan was a convicted child rapist in the Northern Territory, but he has never confirmed this. But he has never confessed to this. Now my connection to the case. And church fuckery. I attended a school with a church attached to it. They're transphobic and I'm graduating, so I don't give a fuck about telling you this story.
Oh my God.
At the time of Morcombe's abduction, Cowan was attending this church. The church is not 100 yards from Daniel's primary school, which is an elementary school, and less than 300 yards from Daniel's bus stop. Here's the kicker. The pastor at the time, the current pastor's father, I think, knew Cowan had been convicted for raping a 6-year-old boy in 1993, but it was okay, and the pastor would just keep an eye on him. Quote. Oh, and then he goes on to say, because Cowan is, you guessed it, a born-again Christian.
No.
Cowan also raped a 7-year-old in 1987, but it is unclear whether the church knew about this. He only served 1 year for his assault on the 7-year-old. I attended this church weekly with school since 2015 and have never known this detail.
Oof.
Cowan is serving life in prison with the possibility of parole in 2034. When he would be 65. A detail of this case, which always brings me joy, is that upon Cowan's arrival in prison, he was assaulted with boiling water by another inmate, as he deserves.
Whoa.
He's a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel's family are doing okay now, and his parents are still very involved with the foundation and child safety. From Ethan. P.S. I'm not a Christian. I'm a witch. I just went to that school.
Oh, Ethan, I love you.
I love that disclaimer.
I'm not a Christian. I'm a witch.
I just go to that school, okay? Like, it's not on me.
It's not my fault.
So when I read this, I realized that Case File had covered this case a while back. I think it's episode 54.
Wow.
And the reason why I remembered it was because the way that Cowan was caught was using a tactic that's illegal in the United States. And it's called a Mr. Big tactic. And it's illegal in the US, but it's legal in other countries like Australia and Canada. And it's basically this covert investigation procedure used by undercover police to elicit confessions from suspects in cold cases, usually murder cases. So basically what happens is a police officer goes undercover, happens to run into the suspect. The undercover police officer tells the suspect that he works in like a gang, you know, or like a criminal organization, brings the suspect into the criminal organization.
Yes.
And gives him like petty crimes, right? Yeah. Like small robberies to do. And then tells the suspect, hey, we have a really big thing that we want to get you in on, but you need to meet the big guy.
Yes.
You know? And then so he meets this other undercover police officer who pretends to be like the head of the criminal organization. And basically the fake head of the criminal organization tells the suspect, I want you to be part of this criminal organization. But in order to do that, I got to make sure that we take care of any loose ends.
Yes.
So you need to tell me anything illegal that you may have done that may come back to bite you in the ass.
So good.
And might come back to bite this criminal organization. So usually what the suspect does will say like, oh no, there's nothing. And then the Mr. Big, the head, the fake head of the criminal organization will then say, well, I heard that you, in this case with Cowan, I heard that you molested a kid. And then the suspect will say, oh, well, I didn't molest a kid. There was this thing, but it's gone. I took care of it. And then the Mr. Big will say, well, I need to take care of it. I need to know that it's taken care of because my ass is on the line. And basically what they do is it's just entrapment.
Right.
Wow.
So eventually the suspect will say like, okay, I killed this kid, but I dumped his body here. So I know nobody's been out there. It was 15 years ago. No one's ever going to find him. And then they take that quote unquote confession, use it to arrest them, and they use it in trial.
Wow. Oh, I wish that were not illegal here. Why is that illegal? It's so good.
So it's illegal here because what happens in a lot of instances when you're dealing with criminal nature is people want to impress other people. So there have been instances that, you know, now the person who says that they did this thing is now like, I didn't really do this thing. I just was playing it up because I really wanted to get into this criminal organization.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I guess it could be considered coercion, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, I didn't do anything. And then this person who you respect and you're afraid of says, I heard that you molested this kid. You say, okay, well, I molested this kid, but it's not going to come out. Well, but I heard that this kid went missing after you molested this kid. Well, the kid went missing. I don't know where he is. Well, I heard that you know where he is. So it's just sort of like,
well, right. And like,
know, it's tricky.
Who wouldn't be scared of a Mr. Big type? Like,
exactly.
They're going to say whatever they want you to say.
Yes. So it's like either you're scared of him or you want to impress him. You want to seem like you're a big shot too. So you talk a little bit of shit that you wouldn't have talked. There's a case on Netflix, the show The Confession confession tapes, maybe?
Yeah, the confession tapes.
Yeah. I think one of the first cases covered is 2 young men who were charged and later convicted of killing one of the young men's parents. Canada used the Mr. Big technique to get these kids on the hook for this murder. And one of the kids, or who's a young man now, says in the documentary, he's like, I was talking shit. Like, I was totally in over my head with these people. Like, I wanted to be a big shot. I wanted to get into this criminal organization. He's like, so I just agreed with them. Like, I didn't do it. And I don't know if these boys did it or not, or these men did it or not. But that's the issue, is like, are there people that are being hyperbolic and trying to impress this Mr. Big character and therefore just sort of going along, you know?
Right.
So I don't know, but I find that tactic profoundly interesting. And when I looked it up on Wikipedia, there are like 5 or 6 famous cases that I want to look into to see like what the tactic was and then what the result was. And if those people later recanted and said like, I didn't do this, like I was just in the situation and trying to make an impression, you know? So
I can't remember if it was this case, but I'm pretty sure on Case File, I remember hearing some case where they used this tactic, and it was like they met on a plane. So it seemed really random to the person.
It
like,
seems totally organic. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
it seems totally organic. They know everything about the suspect. Yep. And then they play to their vanity. They play to like camaraderie and friendship. And then they do small crimes like credit card scams, gun selling, that kind of stuff. And then they say like, okay, now we've got a huge thing with a huge payout. We trust you. You need to trust us. You need to give us all of this information. We've got to clean up your messes before we bring you in. I mean, it's bananas. It's bananas.
And it's a long game for sure.
Oh, yes. Months and years it could take. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So, look it up. Sometimes it's known as the Canadian technique or the Mr. Big technique, but it's definitely worth looking into because I find it fascinating.
It is.
Wow.
So, Ethan, thank you so much for writing to us all the way from Australia. We loved your letter. It was awesome.
I love it.
Yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you. Okay. So this one is from Sally via email, and she is referencing a case that's going to be coming up in season 4, episode 14. So we're not there yet, but we will be soon enough. She says, I've been watching ahead in Unsolved Mysteries and want to bring something to your attention. In season 4, episode 14, there is a segment that I believe is called Dances with Moomis. It's about an Indigenous woman in Manitoba who leaves her family to join the Canadian Armed Forces during the Second World War. In this segment, it is mentioned that this woman attended a, quote, boarding school. I wouldn't be a good Canadian if I didn't inform you that the school they are talking about would have actually been a residential school. If you don't already know, residential schools were government-sponsored Christian schools in Canada specifically designed for Indigenous children. The goal was to, quote, civilize Indigenous people, which really just means that they were committing cultural genocide.
Yeah, disgusting.
Attendance at a residential school was not voluntary. Children were often being forcibly removed from their families to be sent to a residential school. Once there, the children's hair was cut, they were stripped of any traditional clothing, and sometimes given new Western names. I just can't deal with it. It's so demoralizing.
Yeah.
If children were heard speaking or writing in their native language, they would be beaten. This includes in their letters home. Oh my God.
Imagine.
Sexual abuse was rampant and perpetrators would go unpunished. In parentheses, so basically the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Food was scarce and inadequate, resulting in widespread malnutrition. This combined with overcrowding meant diseases spread quickly. Estimates run that from 3,200 to 6,000 children dying during the school's tenure.
God.
But what I feel is the worst thing of all, the government knew how bad the children were being treated and how inadequate the education was. And rather than fix the issues or abolish the schools, they commissioned nutritional experiments on the students without the knowledge or consent of the students or their parents.
Oh my God.
These experiments included restricting a student's food and access to medical care to see how differently they developed compared to their peers.
Oh my God.
It's incredibly sad and it's an incredibly sad and embarrassing chapter in Canadian history. We are trying our best now to make reparations and work towards reconciliation, if such a thing is even possible. But before we can do that, we need to fully purge our sins and expose our entire dark history to light. Yeah, that's very important that we do not ignore the horrible things that have happened. She provided a link for more information, so we'll include that in the show notes. One final note, I thought it was awkward. Unsolved Mysteries used the term boarding school. Then I realized this episode was aired in 1991 and residential schools didn't officially close until 1996.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
That is way more recent than I would have expected.
Wow. I always think of it as being in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. This means I was in elementary school learning about Canada's various Aboriginal tribes, while Aboriginal children the same age as me were in residential schools being actively untaught the same thing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So wild. Keep up the good work. I'll be listening, Sally.
Oh.
Wow. Thank you for writing that. It is absolutely important to tell these stories, and that is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sally. This is from Erica B. via email. Hi all. First of all, thank you for continuing to put out the podcast during these difficult times. Parenthetical. Remember when times were precedented? I miss those days.
I love that.
I recently finished listening to all your old episodes, and now that I'm all caught up, I'm grateful for the new ones. I have watched UM off and on throughout the years. I watched the first few seasons when it was initially aired on network television. I was 15 in 1987 when UM first aired on TV, the prime age to get hooked. The ghosts and UFOs were my favorite. If I'm being honest, they kinda still are. But my real UM watching peak came in the early 2000s. I worked night shift from 1999 to 2002, which meant I was often home watching TV on the couch in the middle of the day trying to fall asleep. This coincided with the show's revival on Lifetime, and I think they or another channel were also airing old episodes. I feel like I used to get sucked into UM marathons on cable TV, but it may have just been Lifetime rebroadcasting their episodes back-to-back in the middle of the day. Anyway, I realized I had to kick the UM habit when I started imagining what my UM segment would be like if I were to suddenly vanish.
Oh, no.
One day, as I left to get some groceries, I imagined Robert Stack saying, "She was last seen leaving her apartment dressed in jeans and a black t-shirt. The evidence indicates she planned to be back soon, as if she was just leaving to run a quick errand. But she was never seen again." I was like, okay, maybe I need to stop watching this show. Thanks for being my fun podcast friends. Keep up the awesome work, Erica.
Cute.
So cute. Oh my gosh, that's fun. That's not fun, but I also do want, I know I'm going to have scripts running in my head of Robert Stack describing my last movements thanks to this.
I mean, there would definitely be interviews with the other two of us if something happened.
Yes.
And I hope that we would all be like that friend of Shanann Watts who was like, I will get in the house. Like,
yes.
Such a queen.
Absolutely.
A total queen. Mine would be like, she was last seen holding one of her 3 cats and looking out the window, hoping the garbage truck was coming because her garbage day has landed on the last 2 holidays and the recycling is really piling up.
There was nothing left but a trail of cat hair.
And lots of recycling.
Oh, God. We would be sure to say that you lit up every room that you walked into. Don't worry.
Oh, God, I hope so. You better.
Okay, so this is from our listener, Steve, and he says, "Hi, ladies. I found your show a few months ago, and it's fun to revisit these segments in all their acid-washed 80s glory.
Yes.
And your commentary and updates are perfect. I I keep wondering, though, have you ever heard from anybody who worked for the Unsolved Mysteries tip line? There has to be a lot of people who worked that phone bank over the years. Has anyone ever listened to the podcast and reached out? Even when I was a kid, I would watch UM and wonder what it would be like to take all those crazy calls. Just wondering if you ever heard any stories. Thanks, and keep it up. Steve. That is a great question. We have not heard from anybody who worked.
But we did have the one listener who wrote in saying that she tried to work for them.
Oh, right.
What did they say?
Yes.
I don't remember that. What did she say?
Either said she applied for the call center and like almost got it, or she was briefly there or something. Oh no,
Oh,
we'll have to go back. I
wow.
feel like it was in a
We
short
have to go back. Oh, wow. That's super cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many people were working the phone bank. I mean, I know they used to show the office area and there'd be a lot of people around, but I don't know if all those people were working the phone bank.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many people it would have been. And also, those people would probably be in their, 50s or 60s right now?
Yeah, or older.
I don't know. I don't know if we have very much listenership in that age range, but I mean, that would be super cool to talk to somebody who worked the phone bank,
Yes. Oh, man.
Especially getting the lost love call and it being like, I think that's me, or, that's my sister, or something like so sweet. Oh, gosh.
That would be so nice.
It's a dream job.
I love it.
Thank you. If anyone knows anybody, please.
Oh my gosh.
Send them our way, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
Send them our way.
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Jessica via our website. She says, love the podcast. Just wanted to give a quick message, maybe for the listener short stack. Maybe this is a little cheesy, but I was just watching UM from a young age, maybe too young. But when I was watching, I remember thinking the reenactments were the real criminals. I used to think, why don't they just arrest them? The criminals are right there.
Oh my gosh. I can totally see you feeling that way as a kid and not understand.
Especially with some of those creepy reenactors, like that one child molester reenactor.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much.
She says, and I thought that for many years, maybe high school, until I realized these were actors. My parents never told me, and I was so frustrated with the show. Looking back,
idiots. They're right.
You have one job. They're right there.
You're filming them. She says, looking back, my husband and I just laugh at me. Anyone else think the same thing? Thanks for the podcast.
Oh my gosh, please write in if anyone else thought that. That is the best ever.
I could see myself thinking that. Yes. Like if you're young, you don't know what a reenactor is.
You don't know that any of it's reenacted. You think it's all real.
Totally.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Too cute.
So cute.
Thank you, Jessica. That was adorable.
All right, so this is from Kim S. Thank you for producing my favorite podcast. Thank you. I have laughed, cried, and been horrified at the actions of other humans with you ladies for over a year. Your wit and insight make my week. I almost read make me weak.
Swoon.
Your recent episode, You're Being Smote, brought me to happy tears with the story of Victoria and Harley, the dog who could anticipate her seizures. Yes, same.
So nice. Oh my God.
It reminded me of a story about Oscar, a cat who lived in an elder care facility. Oscar would come to the bedside of patients who were dying and stay with them during their last hours. I remember this.
You do?
Remember this story. Yes. Because I remember my dad and I joking about eventually you maybe wouldn't want to see Oscar come lay on your bed.
Oh no.
Because you would know it meant you were going to go. Which is dark, but I love it so much.
Oh, it's too nice.
And stay with him during their last hours. His vigils were so consistently correct that staff often called family when Oscar came to stay with a patient.
Oh my gosh.
He is the subject of a book, Making Rounds with Oscar, The Extraordinary Gift of an Ordinary Cat, by Dr. David Dosa. Dr. Dosa believes that Oscar's ability may have to do with his heightened sense of smell, similar to what is described in Harley's story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember we joke. I mean, it's so nice. Like, obviously, this is my dream if I were in an elder care facility, but we did joke, like, if you saw Oscar walking in the room, you'd be like, get off my bed.
You have like a spray bottle.
See her, yeah. Clapping them away.
Oscar.
Oh my gosh, she says, I know you ladies are animal lovers, and I thought you'd like Oscar's story. Cats are not always considered compassionate creatures, but this story has me convinced that it's possible. As far as I know, Oscar never tried to nibble on any of the patients he helped after they were gone.
Girl knows I love to talk about cats eating people.
Yeah,
I don't trust them. Oscar can be the one exception.
And then you like Tippy though. Tippy's your queen now.
I love Tippy.
Yeah. But I do think Tippy might take a nibble out of you.
She might. She likes snacks a lot.
Oh yeah, she loves snacks. So Kim left us a couple of links to articles about Oscar, which we'll be sure to put in this episode's show notes. And then she said, I'm also including this story about a stray cat who helped an exhausted nurse during a break from the hospital.
Oh.
Again, happy tears. And it's a dodo article, which I love the dodo so much. And the nurse says, I had been on 12-hour shift continuously for like 20 days straight. And there's pictures of this orange cat just sitting on this nurse's lap outside. Oh, it's so nice.
Eliza has 2 orange cats, just so everyone knows.
Yes. Oh, yeah, he was a nurse in training. Stayed still while the cat snuggled him and slept on his lap for about 15 to 20 minutes. When the little stray decided her job was done, she got up and walked away. It's too nice. It's too nice. So, thank you. And also, Allison knows that she's got to give me this story. She knew for me.
It was no accident that this letter was assigned to you for you to read.
And Kim just says, thank you again for the great podcast and keep up the amazing work. Thanks, Kim. We love a great animal story, even if it has to do with death, because it's nice.
We do love an animal.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this comes to us from our listener, Lara. She says, Dear Allison, Eliza, and Carlin, thank you so much for your podcast. It brings me absolute joy to listen to you guys. You're so smart and funny, and your voices were my constant companion through finishing my master's degree, being depressed, and feeling stuck in this horrible, never-ending nightmare called the pandemic.
Yes.
So thank you for being my regular shot of dopamine.
Oh,
that is so nice.
Thank you for calling us smart. That's nice.
Yeah, weird. Before I discovered your podcast, someone recommended it in my favorite murder Facebook group. I had never seen a single episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I'm from Germany, and I was born in 1992, so I missed the height of the popularity of the show, and I had never heard anyone talk about it because it didn't air here. Now, my husband Sebastian and I have watched every single episode of the Film Rise release on YouTube.
Wow.
Thank you guys for introducing us to the show. That's pretty impressive. It's 12 seasons.
Honey, that's a lot of episodes.
Not yet.
Thank you guys for introducing us to the show. The segments are super captivating. We still laugh every time they show some amazing 80s graphic with dramatic music in the intros. We cry at every missing loved one, and we shake our heads in disbelief every time someone allegedly prayed away death or disease. We are with you, Brad. Okay, so she says, we have a similar show to Unsolved Mysteries in Germany called Aktenzeichen XY ungelöst.
We know that's probably wrong. We're trying our best.
Yeah, yes, that is absolutely incorrect, but it's the best that I can do. She says it has a much more serious tone than Unsolved Mysteries. It has been on the air since 1967.
Wow.
It only covers crime, and the reenactments are only done by actors, although sometimes the victim or family and friends are interviewed for the show. Aktenzeichen XY ungelöst covers cases from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So basically all cases in majority German-speaking countries. She says, I think my personal favorite Aktenzeichen XY ungelöst segment is this one. In 1976, Richard Oetker, the 25-year-old heir to the Dr. Oetker Company, one of the biggest German foodstuff companies, like a German Nestle company.
Thank you for putting it in terms we understand.
Yeah, I'm like, Nestle. Was kidnapped outside his university and held for 21 million Deutschmark ransom. His family paid up and he was released. Whoa. Then 2 years later, Dieter Zolf was convicted of the kidnapping. The case rested only on circumstantial evidence and he received the maximum sentence of 15 years in prison for kidnapping. Many people felt that this was an injustice, that he shouldn't have been convicted due to lack of evidence, that he was probably innocent, and that this conviction had only been possible due to the wealth and good connections of the Oetker family. The police had originally assumed that the kidnapping had been done by 3 offenders because the ransom amount could easily be divided by 3. Therefore, even the people who felt like Zolf was guilty assumed that he was the fall guy for a bigger operation. So everybody was pretty shocked when, a couple of years after his release, Zolf was caught trying to exchange 12 million Deutschmark in the UK for British pounds. What?
Oh, no.
It turned out he really did commit the crime, and he had acted alone.
Wow.
Half of the money had rotted away in a damp cellar while he was in prison for 15 years and was worthless by the time he got out.
No.
In the words of Eliza, what a waste.
What a waste.
With the rest, he was trying to flee somewhere and live the rest of his life in luxury when he was caught. Oh my gosh. He spent 2 more years in prison for dealing with stolen goods. Today's Zolf has a snack stand in Munich. And according to TripAdvisor, the food is not good.
Oh my gosh.
Laura, this is the best email ever.
Oh my God.
She says, I also like Aktenzeichen XY ungelöst because they don't shy away from difficult subjects. The show has covered some crimes that were committed by Nazis during the Second World War and that were still unsolved. I think this was especially brave in the 60s when many people were still in denial about the horrible war crimes that their friends, families, and neighbors had committed in the name of Germany. And when many perpetrators were still in the prime of their lives. Oh, interesting. The Nazis in high power positions had been tried in Nuremberg, but many Nazis that had served in lower positions had gotten away unpunished. If you're ever in Germany, please hit me up and we can do an Aktenzeichen XY ungelöst viewing party at my place.
Dream.
You don't eat. I know. What a dream. That is like amazing. That sounds so fun. You don't even have to know German. The acting speaks for itself. Also, there are no English subtitles. She says, I live in Frankfurt, and we have a major airport, so you might be passing through here anyway when traveling to Europe. We could go sightseeing. We have some beautiful old buildings in the city. There are castles nearby, and we can get drunk on our local specialty, Apfelwein. It's like apple cider, only stronger. There are plenty of street... I know.
You know what we like.
I know. I've been to Germany. I've never been to Frankfurt. There are plenty of street festivals and markets. We truly have the best chocolate. One thing that always fascinates my American guests. You can drink in public and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's not illegal. It's a nationwide pastime. Apart from that, I hope you all had a fun New Year's Eve and I wish you all the best for 2021. Alles Liebe, Lara.
Laura.
Dream.
Honey.
I want to hang out with her so much. I want to watch that show. I want to drink Apfelwein.
Same.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So this is just an update about Alozno Brooks, which was a case featured on the first reboot earlier this year. So this is an article from November, and it doesn't look like anything much more has come out since then. But basically, the investigators have found out more about that night. So for those of you who are not aware, one of the things that they found out is that there was another party about 1.5 miles from the Lynn County gathering that we know Brooks attended, and that was believed maybe he died there or something happened to him there. So there was another party close by, and a fight occurred at that party. And many of the attendees left and joined the party at the farmhouse where Brooks was. So a lot of rather violent and aggressive partiers from that second party ended up at the farmhouse party, which was already having its own altercations. And of course, people are drinking. It's just not a good, and there's racial stuff most likely going on. So it's not a good combination. So Brooks's brother, aunt, and mother told Fox 4 that they've been praying for a break in this case since that fateful night. Somebody knows what happened, Brooks' brother said. I just want to know what happened to my son and why, his mother added. It's an elusive 16-year-old question that McAllister, who's one of the police officers, believes they're within months of answering. We still believe very much we're going to solve this, he said. We're determined to solve this. McAllister said while the new party might help explain the heightened tensions at the party, investigators still believe Brooks's death was a hate crime. He was one of only 3 Black people there that night. A $100,000 reward is still available for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of whomever was involved. You can call the FBI at 816-512-8200. Wow.
That's
okay.
Interesting that there was another party.
Yeah. Please watch the new reboot of UM if you're not sure. But yeah, this is a case where his body was found, and so they know it was a murder. But that he was last seen at this party, but no one has come forward to say they did it or they saw it, and it seems like just a lot of people protecting something or someone.
Yeah,
which is scary, but looks like it's getting closer, so that's good. Horrible.
Okay, we have one more update from you. The never-ending saga of the treasure of Forrest Fenn. Literally every time I see this in our spreadsheet, I'm like, are we still talking about this? We updated you guys over the summer about the fact that the treasure had, in fact, been found from Forrest Fenn. So this is another update that came December 8th. It's an NPR article written by Laurel Walmsley, and I've just pulled a few excerpts from it. The article is titled, Finder of Treasure Chest Hidden in Rocky Mountains Reveals His Identity. So, the man who found a buried chest that had enraptured scores of treasure hunters for a decade has revealed his identity. His name is Jack Stuoff, and in June, he found the treasure famously buried by author and retired art dealer Forrest Fenn somewhere in the Rocky Mountains with a poem from Fenn's memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, offering clues to its location. Fenn announced in June that the treasure had been found, but he wouldn't say where exactly it was found or who found it. Stuoff, in a post on Medium, says he had asked for his identity to be kept secret so that he wouldn't invite the same fate that Fenn and his family dealt with amid fervent treasure hunters. Quote, For the past 6 months, I have remained anonymous, not because I have anything to hide, but because Forrest and his family endured stalkers, death threats, home invasions, frivolous lawsuits, and a potential kidnapping, all at the hands of people with delusions related to his treasure. I don't want those things to happen to me and my family, Stuoff wrote, which, yeah. So as we reported over this last few short stacks, Fenn died in September at age 90. His family confirmed on Monday, this article is from the 8th of December. His family confirmed on Monday that it was Stuoff who found Fenn's treasure. Some treasure seekers had believed the finding was a hoax. So, and this is where it gets a little wild, a Chicago attorney named Barbara Anderson filed a lawsuit against Fenn and the then unnamed finder in U.S. District Court in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in June after the treasure was reported found. She argues, quote, that after she had spent several years painstakingly deciphering Mr. Fenn's poem and scouting out the general location of the treasure, someone hacked her cell phone and stole proprietary information that led them to the trove, the New York Times reports. Stuoff says this case is meritless. So this woman is trying to say, like, she was on the brink of finding it and someone hacked her phone and then found it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Mhm.
So, so the lawsuit was the reason he came out and just said who he was, because he was like, people were going to find out anyway, because the state apparently is allowed to give my information out. Anyway, back to the article. And the secret hiding spot, Stuef says he wants that to remain secret, lest it become a site of pilgrimage and become overrun, perhaps by people looking to see if maybe an emerald was dropped along the way. So there were some quotes from him in the article about how, like, the site itself wasn't necessarily like super dangerous, but anytime you're out those type of areas, it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So he just didn't want a bunch more people. I mean, let's recall that 4 people died looking for this treasure.
Yeah.
So he was like, let's not do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
The treasure is now in a secure location in New Mexico, but Stuef plans to sell it. He says he has medical school loans to pay off. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great that he has to spend his money on his student loans, but, you know, I would love, like, I hope that he does elaborate on how he figured it out. Like, I would love for, like, him to, I want to know what the poem said that brought him to that location, because so many people tried and didn't find it. You know?
Yeah, totally.
I wonder, like, how he was able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool. It's super cool that the treasure even existed.
Yeah, I know. Because
it was
usually they never do.
Yeah, it's just like, I think it's delightful that I know that people were upset that people were injured and people lost their lives looking for this treasure. But, like, what a delightful thing to put out into the world, bury a treasure and write a poem and give clues. And it took so long for people to find it.
Right. And like we said before in a previous short stack, his whole point was that he wanted people to, like, appreciate that beautiful area and, like, go see it and
I don't
stuff.
know.
So
I think it's cool. Like, I think more rich people should do that. Everybody wants to find buried treasure. Everybody wants to know that it's possible to find buried treasure.
And if it can pay off your medical school bills, then that's just a bonus.
Totally. Absolutely. Cool. All right, listeners. I don't have anything memorized because I never do the intros and outros. Thanks for writing to us. And if you would like to send us good stuff like this, I feel like this was a fun one.
Yeah. Running the gamut.
Yeah, we had some good stuff. You can email us at resolvedmysteriespodcast@gmail.com. You can reach us through our website, resolvedmysteriespodcast.com. You can mail us letters. It's so fun. P.O. Box 14005, Portland, Oregon, 97293. We are on Facebook and Twitter at Resolve the Pod, and we are on Instagram at, what are we?
Resolved Mysteries Podcast.
Oh, you can't miss us. So thanks for writing to us. This was a lot of fun. And we'll do another one next month. If you haven't heard what you wrote to us yet, we will get to it. We keep getting all these wild updates, so we kind of have to push things around a little bit. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We love you.
We love you.
We do love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have we lost Eliza?
I'm here. It just was frozen on my ugly face, so I just turned the camera off. I don't know if it was frozen for you, but it was frozen for me, but you two weren't, which is weird.
Okay. Well, we can hear you. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You look like Africa.
I am.